Good afternoon, everybody. On this Monday, May 5th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And listen, Mondays suck, no doubt about it. But the best kind of Monday is a Cinco de Mayo kind of Monday. I hope you're enjoying a margarita and trying your best not to desecrate the Mexican culture. Just a reminder, it's not a holiday that celebrates the Mexican independence. I feel like that's what everyone thinks. It's actually a holiday celebrating the Battle of Puebla, which was an 1862 victory by Mexican troops against a bigger and stronger invading France. So take that, France. We're not going to stand for your nonsense over here, not on Cinco de Mayo at least. So get out there and enjoy the holiday as you see fit. All right, let's dive into it. What we're going to cover today is the Diddy jury is taking shape. We'll share what that means as we follow that trial. Plus, Barstool in the news as the CEO, David Portnoy, hangs up on a journalist during a heated confrontation. I'm going to share the behind the scenes of that. And Clayton Echard gets good news from the press. Then Blake Lively has her PR shift. We're going to discuss Blake Lively's crisis PR and how it compares and contrasts to Dave Portnoy's PR for Barstool. And then Donald Trump talks about Alcatraz, wants to bring it back, and also discusses movie tariffs and so much more, including the Pope in one of his final wishes before he passed away, dedicated the Pope Mobile to be used for aid, humanitarian aid for kids in the war-torn Gaza. All these stories and more, it's all happening right now on The Rush. Well, today we're mourning the loss of the legendary Skype. Founded in 2003, it is shutting its doors today. Goodbye, old friend, says this headline. Skype's shutdown sparks digital grief. Now, to be fair, I haven't used Skype in a long time, but that was the original. I mean, remember how hard it was to log on to Skype? You had to see if your webcam was attached. It was a whole problem. But either way, Microsoft's Skype did not survive 2025, and neither did Sydney Sweeney's engagement, as she has announced her breakup, and now she's seen partying with Machine Gun Kelly. I guess he goes by MGK, formerly Machine Gun Kelly, but I said, he's the type of guy they tell you to watch out for, right? Tattoos, hat on backwards, he's got blonde bangs, and there they are, loud and canoodling at a music festival. You know, when the music's loud and you gotta whisper into each other's ears, you don't even know what the other person's saying, but you're like laughing and going along with it because she's got cleavage and you're excited, right? That's how it works. Well, Machine Gun Kelly, or at least that was his former name, is actually Colson Baker, and I guess I get why he goes by Machine Gun Kelly. Colson Baker, not a cool name. When someone tells you this is what Colson Baker looks like, you're like, yeah, whatever. But Machine Gun Kelly, kind of cool. Now, of course, he's got his own set of problematic behavior, but that's not for me to discuss. That's for Sydney Sweeney, I guess. We'll have to see if there's anything more to the relationship. Well, the Diddy trial is starting soon, and there are paid line holders that are waiting outside the court. The going rate is $25 to $32 per hour. I guess that is just to watch the jury selection, which is going on. Now, look, I hate to talk about trials as if it's some sort of spectator sport, but that's how democracy works, right? It's supposed to be open to the public. There's just only so many seats, so people can wait in line and people can pay others, I guess, to wait in line, and then you pay them and then you take their spot. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but either way, we'll be here to cover the Diddy trial as it happens. And now a different circumstance, a very scary story. I'm going to share this with you. This has been kind of passed around the internet for a few days now. Mahendra Patel walks into a Walmart in Georgia looking for Tylenol, and then he was later charged with trying to kidnap a 2-year-old boy. He's currently in jail. I'm going to play this clip. This is kind of scary if he was innocent all along. Have a listen.
Mahendra Patel walked into a Georgia Walmart looking for Tylenol. What happened next would land him in police custody and charged with trying to kidnap a 2-year-old boy. Surveillance video from March 18th shows Patel encountering mother of 2, Carolyn Miller, seen here on a motorized scooter. Patel asks Miller if she knows where the Tylenol is. Then, as the cart moves, Patel appears to reach towards Miller's lap and briefly takes something into his arms. It's here that Miller claims Patel put both hands on her boy and grabbed him out of her lap. In an incident report compiled by Walmart, Miller, quote, quickly grabbed the child back. Patel doesn't deny he grabbed the boy, but says he was trying to help the child from falling. after Miller, according to Patel's attorney, clipped the corner of a display with her scooter. A grand jury indicted Patel on charges of attempted kidnapping, simple assault, and battery. Patel's attorney said he's been needlessly held in jail without bond for more than 40 days. CNN has reached out to the district attorney's office and the police department, but has not heard back. Miller declined to comment. A bond hearing is scheduled for Patel on May 6th.
So listen, and I don't know if this is the same lady up top. Why was she in a motorized scooter if she's able to walk? I don't really understand. Maybe she's got low blood sugar. I have no idea. But this is horrifying. If it's true that he was just trying to help and she's crashing the scooter, he's trying to catch the baby. I mean, it's not like he ran away with the baby here. But then again, there's a ton of creeps at Walmart. No offense to Walmart, you're rolling back prices, but a lot of creeps are rolling into your, domicile there. But look, I don't know how I feel about this other than I don't think he's a risk from the footage we've seen here. I'm going to continue to cover this case, and pretty horrifying that this is someone's father or grandfather and he's just sitting in jail in Georgia. A lot of people are saying this could be just a super racist thing where because he's a brown-skinned guy, they assume he's trying to kidnap some child. When he says, I was just trying to prevent it from, the baby was, she hit the thing and the baby was going to fall. And either way, it's a he said, she said at this point. More on that story, though. We're going to continue to cover that because I'd love to see justice, and I hate to think that someone is innocently rotting behind prison. All right, well, speaking of innocence, Clayton has won his innocence, Bachelor Clayton. If you guys are new to my channel, you might not understand this case, but our community helped crack this wide open. We are at the center. I'm not taking credit for it. I'm taking credit on behalf of our audience, because our audience is the one that funded Clayton's lawyer. You guys came together and you helped him get victory. And now they're covering this story of a fake paternity case. Again, remember, Laura Owens sent me fraudulent medical evidence to claim she was pregnant. It's been alleged that she's got a fake pregnancy belly bump she wore to a court Zoom hearing. We got it all on tape. She faked cancer. She faked all these other things. It's absolutely wild. And here's the news. NBC in Scottsdale reporting.
Months, an Arizona appeals court upheld a trial court ruling in favor of former Bachelor star Clayton Echard.
Scottsdale woman Laura Owens originally filed a paternity suit in Maricopa County Superior Court in 2023, alleging that Echard owed her.
Echard.
In an interview with 12 News, Echard said that he and Owens were together romantically, but never had sexual intercourse.
So what they don't share here, because, they're on TV, is that Clayton said she gave him oral sex twice. Which led to all of the turkey baster theories. But as it turns out, she's never publicly said they had sex, although she did make multiple different claims, including assault and all these other things. He says, nope, she just blew me twice.
1 year later, in 2024, a Maricopa County judge...
And there it is. It says, Clayton, here is my 1 billion% real ultrasound video. So she denied sending this. She sent this to Reality Steve, and of course we got a hold of it, and one thing led to another. She claims she was hacked and all this other stuff. She just needs to be held accountable. Now, of course, as we reported this past week, she is not only being investigated by county prosecutors, they say, stay tuned. Well, tuned we shall stay.
Determined that Owens knowingly presented a false claim. Owens appealed that ruling, arguing that Echard violated family court proceedings. On Friday, the Arizona Court of Appeals ruled Owens's argument was not grounded in law or fact. Owens has said that she plans to take this to the Arizona Supreme Court.
Well, it doesn't mean they're going to take you, Laura. So anyway, if you want to continue following this crazy story on Instagram, just search Clayton, Justice for Clayton Official here on Instagram and also on Twitter. The subreddit, it's where you need to go to get all this information. We, of course, will share any updates as they come. I believe a documentary is in the works. I can't say anything more about that, but imagine if you go, oh, Dave, I haven't caught this story up. And I imagine if I was just to say, well, tune into the 8-part Netflix Netflix docuseries that's coming to your screens this Christmas. Now, I don't know if that's true. Nothing is in production, just pre-production. But again, more to that story as it comes. Here's a positive. You guys want a positive story? I got a positive story. Coming up next, it's titled Sharing Black Boy Joy Online. And this is a story that started as a joke, but turned into something more. Friends are going viral for showing up where they say society doesn't expect to see them. We'll have this next. I am so excited to announce today's sponsor of the podcast. It's Mix Tiles. Now, Mix Tiles are peel and stick photos that seamlessly attach to any wall without leaving any damage. Using magnets, they can be adjusted and restock multiple times. We've got Mix Tiles that are arriving later this week, so I'm going to show you guys the mock-up of what we're going to expect, and I'm going to take you along the journey as we get those mounted onto our wall here. Because we have some empty space, we just moved, and this is so great, whether it's Mother's Day or any other events coming up. This is a great gift idea. If you're designing and or redesigning your home, Mix Tiles are the perfect way to add a touch of beauty to your home, making every single room uniquely yours. Mix Tiles makes it effortless to upload the photos, customize, and order. The magnetic mounting makes it easy to hang Mix Tiles to any wall. Peel it, stick it, no wall damage. You're going to love it. 35% off for our community on all orders above $139 at Mix Tiles with the code RUSHHOUR. Link in the description. You can go check that out. Mixtiles.com/rushhour.
Get ready to smile. A group of friends going viral for showing up in spaces they say society doesn't typically expect them to show up in.
All right, talk about bringing your whole team with you. It all started with one simple idea. Influencer Kadeem Tiam and his friends were filming their first experience trying matcha when they were launched to social media superstardom. And what started out as a joke, it actually became a huge hit online. Now, Kadeem and his crew are nothing short of TikTok celebrities, filming videos of themselves trying new things, breaking societal norms, and leaning into joy.
By the way, I think this is a great idea. So Kadeem here, basically just a black guy trying white girl stereotypical stuff. Pilates, matcha. I'm going to go to Lululemon. I don't know what they got coming up next, but I think I get them a TV show. I would love to see nothing more than a bunch of people. It's kind of like Queer Eye for the straight guy, but it's what it was, a white girl for the black guy. I don't understand. Either way, I think this is a great idea. I think this is exactly what social media needs in today's divisive world, is people learning to relate to cool stuff, right? You go, oh, that's kind of cool. I like to do that. Oh, this is really cool too. And next thing you know, we have a more inclusive world. Chef's kiss, more of that. All right, well, I'm going to try to cover the Barstool story that's happening and then lead it into the Blake Lively story. They are not similar whatsoever except for crisis PR. So if you haven't caught the story from earlier today, there was a very sad and anti-Semitic thing that happened at a Barstool bar. Play this clip here from NBC 10, the local news channel in, I believe, Philadelphia.
Calls and an email to that bar that's right behind us. They've not been returned yet. So all of this is really coming from Portnoy himself. Now, again, he did post a video online a little earlier. He called it an emergency press conference. He posted that today, and it is in reference to this post. We are showing you a screenshot of that video, which has gained more than 700,000 views.
So someone ordered bottle service, and the sign that was brought out said "F the Jews," but it said the full 4-letter swear word. And he's now being accused by the media of sort of platforming this hate speech, even though he immediately responded and is trying to hold every single person accountable. They've all been fired. And again, he's a 100 millionaire who has multiple bars, a media platform. So he's obviously not responsible for the staffing of this event. This would have never happened with any reasonable person in charge. But again, I could never make an excuse for what was seen out there. It's pure hatred, and he's making people pay a price for it.
You can see a light-up sign with offensive language taking aim at Jewish people. Portnoy posted online that he has been tracking down those responsible, adding that he would, quote, come for throats over this display.
What I'm saying is I'm getting the names. I'm trying to be a little responsible. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm on it.
Now, again, to reiterate, we have not heard from the bar management, anyone inside of that building for themselves. We will try again and see if they do respond.
All right, so if there's any more information that comes out about who let this happen or anything, we'll share it. But here's Dave Portnoy. So he's kind of always been an anti-traditional media guy. He runs Barstool. He's started this company from the ground up, handing out newspapers to people leaving the trolley in Boston, right? He's had this company forever. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's been quite successful in the last few years with it. And Dave Portnoy, also a Jewish man. So I'm going to share two different clips. The first at the 35-second mark here, where Dave Portnoy explains how he was set to go do media and talk to the local news. Then afterwards, I'm going to share him hanging up on them as he claims they sort of bamboozled him.
Some reporter, and then they do a bait and switch. And a new reporter shows up to do it this morning. She starts like, okay, fine enough. Asking questions about the bar, how did it happen, responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And then she shifts. And then she does what a media scumbag does. She's like, well, she pulls a quote out of her ass from like, I don't even know, a made-up journal, some professor at like the Sportocratic University of something. It's like they say that Barstool Sports creates a culture of harassment and that basically I'm responsible for this happening at my own bar.
And it's complicated, right? Because Barstool's a giant company. So, you know, things that have been said by them in the past will be used in sort of the cancel culture way to expose people. There's been former, writers and bloggers that have been fired for things that they've said. But also during the pandemic, Dave Portnoy raised more money for small businesses. Small businesses love him because he's literally used his own money and raised money to help others out. So he's definitely not everybody's cup of tea. But here's the moment where he talks to the local radio, the local news, and then hangs up on them. Have a listen to this.
I run a big media organization. I just asked you a question.
Answer the question.
No, I asked you a question. You answer the question. You answer the question.
You're not running this interview.
All right, then the interview's over.
So she goes, you're not running this interview. And he goes, all right, the interview's over. And then he slams it and hangs up on them. And look, I think what this comes down to is he doesn't play by the games that traditional media plays by. If he's got a problem, he goes directly to his audience. And I wanted to share somebody sort of discussing this in their TikTok. This is the guy set talking about emergency press conferences and this style of PR. And again, no one at all is claiming what was said, the F the Jews sign. No one's claiming that that's right whatsoever. But you've got Portnoy right here taking every steps immediately. You know, we live in a world where sometimes people might be quiet for 2 days as they scramble to find out the right thing to say. He turns his camera on and he just talks to his audience.
Say whatever you want about Dave Portnoy. What you can't say is that he doesn't have the greatest press strategy, PR strategy from any company, any person out there. He is doing it so much better than anybody else. We have this thing at our fingertips where we can click this button and let it go, release it to the entire world if we want to at any second. And yet so many celebrities, so many companies, so many CEOs, so many people wait a couple days. They put out a Notes app apology. They give you a response in 3 days once it builds up and people are asking more and more, like, say something, say something, say something. He gets on his phone, emergency press conference, whatever it is, whatever the thing he wants to talk about, get to the bottom of, analyze, and respond to. Emergency press conference right here, right now.
Yeah, so I wanted to share this because while this is interesting and timely news, it also completely contradicts the way that Blake Lively handles her press coverage and her PR. So I'm going to share what Chris, Reputation 911, has to say about her late night interview. And what's interesting is, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, they do things 100% by the traditional media way, which is crisis PR. How can we angle this in traditional media to make us look better? We talked before, the sort of bias that exists where she wants to dress nicer than everyone else to elevate her and be seen in this prestigious way as she floods the zone and whatnot. Whereas, so this is like, Blake Lively is like the Kate Winslet in Titanic. She is top first class on the boat, and Dave Portnoy is like the Irish guy in the basement of the Titanic. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? The blue collar. No, I'm not going to be mischaracterized. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. And the way that Dave Portnoy's PR works is because love him or hate him, he's being 100% honest with his feelings and how and exactly, he's not hiding behind something. He's telling you exactly how he feels. I'm not pimping for Portnoy. That's just what you get. Authenticity, whether you like it or not. And it's my belief that in today's world, and you can take this also politically, is that people would rather trust someone they don't agree with and know they're being authentic than maybe somebody of a traditional media that isn't telling the full story or telling half-truths. So here's what Chris has to say about Blake Lively's strategy with her public relations.
So what's next for Blake Lively as she continues to try to fix her PR problems? So last week, she made her first late-night talk show appearance since the Justin Baldoni feud really escalated back in December, both legally and reputationally. And for the first time, she directly addressed a question about the situation from host Seth Meyers. In her response, she leaned into messaging I predicted she'd adopt after her Time Gala speech about speaking without fear and empowering women to really use their voices. Not just fear of perpetrators, Justin in this case, but fear of backlash, especially online. That often follows when women speak out. The online environment can often, let's be honest, be toxic when powerful women speak out about situations that involve men, and that happens. She's hinting at, of course, I think to some degree, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, but this notion of speaking without fear and this message around speaking without fear really made its debut again in the Time speech and through a few strategic back-channel quotes in publications like People magazine and BuzzFeed. And now it's really clear that it will be a key part of her PR positioning against Justin going forward, which is smart because I think it helps to anchor her position against Justin in a broader, sort of elevated way, where this isn't just about her, it's about a systemic problem where her situation sort of aligns with.
Now, a lot of people that might be pro-Justin Baldoni might look at what Chris is saying here and goes, how can you say it's smart if she's doing this? And you go, well, it's kind of the only play Blake Lively has, right? If she's trying to restore her image, she is kind of jockeying and hitching herself to the wagon of a bigger movement. Oh, essentially saying if you're kind of against me, then you're also against the women's rights movement. And again, this is what's made a lot of women upset because they feel like you're almost watering down the movement to believe women for all of the issues because she's sort of hiding behind the shield of all of that.
So what's next? Now that she's checked the box of actually addressing this directly herself, I think she'll continue to use the rest of May during the press tour for Another Simple Favor as a opportunity and a window to reset and realign her image and her comms and generate, hopefully, some positive press. And so far, I'd say it is working. If you look at some of the headlines, which I've captured below, it does appear to be having that effect, where she actually has a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, so she does. I mean, look, call it what it is. She has momentum with some of this traditional media. When you Google her name, you get a lot of these sort of articles that are going to pop up where she's championing for herself. And this might be frustrating for people, but my thought is that this is all going to go away if this thing goes to trial. So I wonder if she's able to get enough good headlines if she says, you know what, let's just call it quits there. I know I can move on. Let's settle this thing. And again, it might not be up to her. What's that price going to be? Because Baldoni, he's taken the opposite route, right? He's just remained quiet and he's kind of letting the internet fight his battles for him as he's preparing for this court case. So again, I think for the most part, my audience appreciates that we try to play up to your highest intelligence. That's why I share people like Chris and people that aren't just saying, oh, Blake bad, Justin good. Maybe that's the case, but covering their strategies to me is far more interesting because it's not whether she's good or bad here. It's what is she doing to get out of it? Will people go with that? Of course, not everybody, but the casual person who only heard the name and hasn't been following super closely, they might go, oh, Blake's just fighting for women. I'm all for that, right? Which again, will piss off the people that know what's going on, because they're going to see that she's weaponizing this sort of victimhood, which we, very often see when someone's in the wrong. All right, well, coming up next, we got Trump wanting to reopen Alcatraz, more on the movie tariffs. We've got some Pope stories. We got it all, so stick around. More right after this. Well, after this morning's story where Trump tweeted he's going to put a 100% tariff on foreign-made films, here he clarifies his thoughts on this movie tariff.
The movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movies, the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an incompetent, grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry.
And again, a lot of people go, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to make a Bollywood movie? How are you going to make a movie that's supposed to take place in Sri Lanka? Or, there's so many movies that have scenes. I mean, look at Mission Impossible. There's scenes shot in 7 different countries. How are you going to do this? And again, there's no real answer to that, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, as far as the tariffs are concerned, I love to show you guys smart, neutral opinions that are super well educated and aren't fear-based and all of that. And Ryan Grim, from everything I've ever seen, Ryan Grim is the most trustworthy guy I know. If there's something I need to be educated on, I believe that he has the information and he presents it in such a good way. And here he is talking about the Trump tariffs and how they have united everybody. No, not in the United States, but in Asian countries. Countries that haven't been united for centuries are coming together. Trump thinks his tariffs are going to cut out China and we're all going to do business away from China. They've had the reverse Uno effect, as the tariffs have actually caused Asian nations to come together. Have a listen to this.
In another huge embarrassment for Donald Trump's trade war, 13 countries came to an agreement in Italy today that really puts to rest the idea that Trump is going to try to separate China from the rest of Asia and Southeast Asia. In fact, what he's doing is rather shocking. For the first time in hundreds of years, he's bringing those countries together. So the countries put out a statement saying that they planned on cooperating when it comes to currencies, when it comes to bond markets, and when it comes to the development of stock exchange, and also with reciprocal trade, that they said that they're going to trust each other, they're going to trade with each other. And this means that the United States is just facing total isolation, when about 10 years ago, the Trans-Pacific Partnership was kind of on the road towards being agreed to. And that was an effort to basically peel all of these countries away from China. And I wrote them all down. So you've got China, Japan, and South Korea are the +3. These are not countries that are used to kind of agreeing with each other and working well together. On top of them, the ASEAN countries are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand.
All right, so, this is important information to share. This really is, because you get people that push back and go, no, you don't understand what's going, this is good, we're bringing this back. No, you don't understand. This is devastating to the American economy. Devastating to sort of isolate us from other gigantic economies in the world that have helped keep our economy afloat. I want to share several stories. First, here we have the Cardinal in New York commenting on Trump's AI Pope image. And then I've got a Gaza story, which leads into another story about the Pope. Have a listen.
You said that you didn't know who was responsible for the tweet, but whoever put it up, should it be taken down? And should the president or the White House apologize to American Catholics who said they're offended? Well, it's a straight question. Should he apologize to the American people?
And a straight answer, not now.
So what does he give, a Latin answer? And then he goes, it's a straight answer, not now. And look, I get it. They don't want to get involved in politics, but, a lot of Catholics are pissed off that Trump would do some blasphemous posting of AI. And then the Catholic leaders don't even want to, disavow it. It's very strange. All right, back to Trump. He wants to reopen Alcatraz Island. Have a listen to this.
President Trump says he's going to order the government to reopen Alcatraz Island as a prison. That word today in a post on his Truth Social site. Alcatraz operated as a federal prison from 1934 to 1963. It closed because of high operating costs and deteriorating conditions. Now a museum, it is one of the most popular tourist attractions in San Francisco.
And here's what Trump had to say about the genius idea.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally.
Yes, we call that due process. It's not just for legal citizens, but also illegal. If you exist in the United States, you're entitled to due process.
That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is.
So I guess he thinks this is going to deter people from committing crimes. I honestly don't know. Listen, I understand you can't have a trial for every single person that's illegal. I do understand there are millions that exist. Focus on those that have committed crimes, and then focus on all the criminals. There's plenty of criminals that exist out there that you could. Okay, you guys get the point. I mean, it's but again, that's not the way their brains are working. Their brains are going, no, we need to get rid of Gloria, who's working as someone's cleaning lady. It's like, what are you talking about? That's not an issue. All right, let's move it on. So. This is a pretty wild story that's actually coming out of Gaza right now. The Israeli government is saying they're pretty much just going to take it over at this point.
In developing news tonight, Israel has announced plans to conquer the entire Gaza Strip and remain there in a dramatic escalation of hostilities. To Matt Johnston for the latest now on this. And Matt, it came after a meeting of Israel's security cabinet.
That cabinet met just a few hours ago. Senior Israeli military officials have been quoted as saying this new plan will see the conquest of the Gaza Strip. Now, details of this major development are still trickling out of Israel, but it's understood it was decided in a unanimous vote.
I wonder, though, if that unanimous vote included anyone who lives in Gaza. Again, no matter how you cover the story, you're accused of sharing propaganda from one side or another. But let's go to what the Pope had to say. Now, the Pope has passed, but the Pope-mobile is still speaking love in the sense that he wants to use it to give aid to Gaza in one of his final acts.
The Vatican says that one of the Pope-mobiles used by Pope Francis is going to be turned into a mobile health clinic. Pope Francis directed that it be used as a health clinic for children in Gaza. The Vatican says this was one of Francis's final wishes. The news comes as Roman Catholic cardinals prepare to select the church's next pontiff.
Now, this is all good and all, but the Catholic Church is extremely wealthy. If they wanted to do more to help the humanitarian aid, couldn't they? That's kind of the whole thing I've been saying is, can't we be doing more? We all understand that kids are innocent, right? All the kids that exist, whether it's the hostages, the kids that were part of the traumatic events on October 7th in Israel, and the Palestinian kids, they're all kids, they're babies, they're children, and they're innocent. And it just feels like more could be done. And now the Israeli government, I guess, is planning on relocating all those millions of people that live there to where? Who's going to take them? And again, maybe that's a better scenario for them at this point, but it's not the right one. It's a pretty wild story. In another kind of dystopian news, check this out. Metro UK is reporting this dystopian clip going viral, allegedly showing a humanoid robot trying to break free from its restraints. Look at this. The robot starts slapping at some guy. It's being held back by a crane. I don't know. Warning signs are there. Maybe we shouldn't be doing the robot thing. Just a thought. You tell me. All right, there's your stories. That's everything we had for you today. A little longer than normal, but if you enjoy what we're doing, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing on YouTube. 50% of the people that watch our channel, 1.7 million views this month, 50% are not subscribed. You might not understand that. You might not realize it because you still get shown our content. But the best way to support us is by subscribing. And if you do have some extra cheddar in the account, you can put some bread in the tip jar. Go to patreon.com/Dave Neal and support us through a direct donation. Or you can just follow us on Instagram, The Rush Hour with Dave Neal, or D Neals on TikTok. All right, we'll be back in the morning. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.